pirates hijacked the CEC Future. Dangerous explosion of pirate
ship
attacks.
carrying Russian tanks was seized. Continuing instability in Somalia has led to the flourishing of piracy.
This presentation is about pirates. No, not those guys. These guys. In this presentation, we will examine the hijacking of the cargo vessel CEC Future in the Gulf of Aden in 2008, the negotiations with the pirates, the game theory behind those negotiations, and possible alternative Nash equilibrium scenarios as posed by the theory. But first, some background. Most of the Somali pirates are made up of three types of people: fishermen, ex-militia, or technical experts. They're mostly young, roughly 80% from the unstable south and the rest from the more stable north. Given employment opportunities are low in the south, many look to piracy as easy money that enables them to start a new life in places like Europe. Most of the attacks occur in the early hours of the morning, with the pirates using rocket-propelled grenade launchers and machine guns to intimidate the target helmsman to slow down. Ladders are used to climb aboard, where they can take control of the vessel. Most of the weapons carried by the pirates originate from Yemen, as well as internally within Somalia. Between 2008 and 2012, around 3,500 hostages were taken, with 25 murders and 62 additional deaths due to other hijack-related causes. An average of $5 million is paid to pirates as ransom. The geographic position of Somalia certainly plays a role in the amount of piracy that takes place. Being so close to the Gulf of Aden not only gives them access to a wide variety of shipping routes, but it's also a bottleneck that allows easier capture. So what happened? On November 8, 2008, the Danish registered ship CEC Future with its Russian crew and British cargo were hijacked in the Gulf of Aden off the Somali coast. What followed would be a tense round of negotiations between the pirates and Clipper Group, the owner of the CEC Future, for the safe return of the ship and its crew. So for this scenario, we'll be applying a sequential bargaining strategy as set out in Dixit, Skeeth and Riley. We have two players, the pirates and the company. The pool of money to be distributed is the $7 million initial demand from the pirates. To normalise the rate of decay, we have limited negotiations to 8 rounds, as happened in real life. This means that the pot is depleting by $875,000 for each round of the game. The best alternative to negotiated agreements are, for the pirates, $200,000, which is a bounty paid by a local warlord for destroying a Western ship. For the company, it's $150,000 in compensation additional to an insurance payout that would cover the cost of the ship and the crew. Because this is a sequential game, we can work out the equilibrium position by backward induction. The final round that the two can deal and both get above their BATNAs will be round 8, with $875,000 in the pot. Since the company has the call in round 8, they can offer $1 above the pirate's BATNA, that's $200,000 plus 1, and take $875,000 minus $200,000 plus 1, which is $674,999 for themselves. So knowing this in round 7, when the pot is $1.75 million, the pirates offer the company $674,999 plus 1, which is $675,000, and then they take the remainder, that's $1.75 million minus $675,000, which is $1.075 million. The company is better off taking this deal than going another round. In this fashion, we can work back up the chain. Each time the player with the call offers their opponent $1 better than they would have gotten in the next round, and taking the residual themselves. So if we work back to round 1, the pirates can offer $674,999 plus 1 plus 4 times, that's the number of rounds, $875,000, that's the rate of decay, which is $3.3 million. And then they can end the game at the first step. So the Nash equilibrium scenario by this framework, with these rules, is for the pirates to offer to release the hostages and the ship for $3.7 million. The company will save $3.3 million, which will be the best outcome it can manage given the rules of the game. So how did things play out in real life? Well, we still had two players, the pirates and the company. This is still an extensive form sequential game carried out over 8 rounds. However, each knows very little about the other, and it's clear this game cannot go on indefinitely. Also different was the rate of decay in payoffs. To understand this, we need to look at the conditions both sides were working off. For the company, they were limited by fuel. The company needed a resolution before the ship ran out of fuel. That a public relations issue, the company needs to be seen to be doing all it can to bring its people back home safely. We're assuming the value of the ship and cargo are insured and do not need to be considered here. And for the pirates, the limitations are less clear, but for this exercise we've assumed that they're incurring certain operational costs, but the main factor is their safety. The longer the hijack goes on, the greater the risk to life and limb. The company's negotiators are working from their offices in the Netherlands, and physical discomfort is being incurred by the crew, not those involved in the negotiation process. With this in mind, it's clear that the company can withstand a longer negotiation process than the pirates, and therefore have a smaller rate of decay in ultimate payoffs. In the initial setup, the company is negotiating through an agent. The agent advises certain rules to be followed based on previous experience in these types of situations. 1. Never accept a pirate's offer. This will put them on the front foot. They know you have resources to cover this and feel able to drag out negotiations to demand more. Successful conclusion of the bargaining can only come from the pirates accepting an offer put forward by the company. The pirates do not know this rule. The second rule is never make 2 consecutive offers. Make the pirates respond to every offer, or they will gain the ascendancy in negotiations and the process will drag on to the cost of the company. So the round play goes as follows. Round 1. In round 1 of negotiations, the pirates demanded $7 million for the release of the crew and the return of the ship. The company did not view $7 million as beyond their means. However, the advice of the negotiator was that accepting a deal first up would further jeopardise the crew and the ship. Previous negotiations similar to this situation have seen pirates take advantage of a first round capitulation by the victim and extend their demands, thereby dragging out negotiations much longer than they could otherwise have been. The company rejected $7 million and made a counter-offer. Round 2. In round 2, the company counter-offered with the obscenely low amount of $400,000. The pirates had the option to accept this offer and thereby end the game or counter-offer with a figure of their own. They rejected and the game went on. In round 3, the pirates have dropped their demands from $7 million to $5 million. The company could see that they were moving in the right direction, but nevertheless, due to established rules of the game on their side, could not accept the offer posed by the pirates, and so the game continued. Round 4. The pirates were adamant that $5 million was the very lowest that they could deal for, and talks seemed at a stalemate. The company took the bold step of issuing an ultimatum to the pirates that $5 million was a ridiculous figure, and unless they were prepared to come down under $2 million, there was no need for further negotiation. The pirates were faced with the decision to break off contact and end the game with zero payoff for both sides, or continuing to negotiate at a much lower level than their previous stated position. In round 5, the pirates decided to continue the negotiation and table an offer of $2 million. The company, still being bound by its rule not to accept an offer from the pirates, could not accept this offer and end the game at this point, so play would move to round 6. In round 6, the company offered $1 million for the return of the ship and the crew. The pirates have the option of accepting this offer and ending the game, or continuing with negotiations in round 7. Round 7, the pirates came back with an offer of $1.9 million, which the company rejected and moved into round 8. By this time, the crisis had dragged on from early November into January. Conditions aboard the CEC Future were cramped and primitive, and those negotiating from the ship were under intense pressure from both sides to end the siege. The company returned with an offer of $1.3 million, which was accepted by the pirates, and negotiation was ended.
Hooray!
So the pirates were coming down very fast with each round that passed, while the company were holding relatively firm. Since the slope of the pirates' demand line was steeper than the company's offering line, it indicates that the pirates were more impatient to make a deal, as previously discussed. One important thing to note is that both parties are better off making a deal than not, so the collusive outcome is to come to some agreement. This fact, coupled with the impatience factor of the pirates, meant that the Nash equilibrium could be achieved, and in the company's favour.